Hello, and a very warm welcome. Thank you for choosing to spend a quiet moment here in this peaceful sanctuary made of words and gentle sounds. This story was crafted with the simple hope of helping you find a comfortable stillness, a place where your thoughts can soften and your breath can deepen, guiding you toward a peaceful and restorative sleep. Should this story bring you comfort, your gentle tap on the like button, your kind thought to subscribe, or a soft word left in the comments would be received with sincere gratitude. Tonight we will be visiting the Benthic Conservatory, a place of deep and gentle wonder. Here, within the quiet hull of a sunken ship, a garden of coral blooms with a soft, warm light, tended by a silent caretaker. Prepare to be held in the ocean's calm embrace, to feel the soothing hum of ancient wood, and to find a profound respite in the slow, rhythmic pulse of the deep. Chapter 1. The Gentle Descent. It is a curious and wonderful thing to leave one world for another, not with a great journey, but with a simple, quiet lowering of oneself into the blue. Phelan felt the water close over them, a soft and seamless blanket, and the sounds of the surface, the call of the gulls and the sigh of the wind, became a gentle and distant memory. Here, beneath the shifting sunlit ceiling of the waves, a new kind of silence began, one that was full and embracing, a quiet that you could feel upon your skin. The initial coolness of the sea was a pleasant and clean sensation, a waking touch that soon gave way to a deeper, more profound comfort as Phelan began their slow descent, sinking with the gentle and unhurried grace of a falling leaf. The world above, with its sharp edges and its many demands, seemed to dissolve with each foot of the descent. The light, too, began its own soft transformation. The bright, clear sun of the upper world diffused into 1,000 shimmering beams, dancing shafts of pale gold that pierced the deepening blue. Phelan watched them play, their light touching the tiny, glittering particles that drifted in the currents, turning the water into a slow-motion cascade of quiet stars. The feeling was not of falling, but of being held and gently guided downwards, supported by the immense quiet patience of the ocean itself. Phelan let their breath become long and slow, mirroring the unhurried rhythm of this new and peaceful world. As they drifted deeper, the blue of the water deepened into a soft and soothing indigo, the color of twilight just after the sun has gone to rest. The pressure of the deep was a welcome presence, a gentle and consistent embrace that seemed to quiet the very bones, to soothe the little aches of the body that one rarely notices until they are gone. It felt like being wrapped in a heavy, comforting quilt, secure and perfectly still. The last of the sun's golden light faded above, and for a moment, Phelan floated in a world of pure, soft darkness, a velvet womb of profound peace where the only sensation was the gentle flow of water against their cheek. It was then that a new light appeared, not from above, but from the deep below. It was a faint and gentle luminescence, a soft glow that did not pierce the darkness, but seemed to be a part of it, a soft bloom of warmth in the cool indigo. A sense of quiet welcome radiated from it, a silent invitation to come closer. Phelan felt a gentle pull, a current that was somehow warmer than the surrounding water, and allowed it to guide them onward and downward towards the source of this tender light. The feeling of anticipation was not a sharp or eager thing, but a slow and happy unfolding, like a flower opening its petals to the night. The source of the light slowly resolved itself into a grand sleeping shape upon the seabed. It was an ancient ship, its great wooden form resting on a bed of pale, soft land. The luminescence seemed to emanate from within it, spilling softly from the places where its hull had opened to the sea. The wood of the ship was dark and smooth, its lines softened by centuries of the ocean's gentle caress. It did not look like a ruin, but like something that had found its final, perfect purpose, a home that had grown from the sea itself. It hummed with a quiet, living energy, a palpable peace that reached out and enveloped Phelan in its profound stillness. Phelan drifted toward a wide, arching breach in the vessel's side, the entrance to this sunken sanctuary. The water flowing out from it was discernibly warmer, carrying with it the faintest, sweet scent, like ozone and distant honey. The light from within pulsed with a slow, steady rhythm, a gentle and reassuring beat, like the slow breathing of some great and sleeping creature. There was no hesitation, only a simple and trusting sense of coming home to a place one had never been before. Phelan took one last slow breath of the open sea and, with a gentle push of their feet, floated through the opening into the heart of the Benthic Conservatory. The silence inside was different. It was deeper, softer, imbued with a low and resonant hum that seemed to vibrate in the water, in the wood, and in Phelan's own heart. The source of the light was everywhere, a garden of soft-bodied corals that grew upon the ship's ancient timbers, each one pulsing with a warm, golden glow. The sight was one of such gentle and profound wonder that it left no room for thought, only for the simple, peaceful act of being. Here, in the quiet, glowing heart of the sea, the journey had ended, and a deeper, more restful kind of stillness was just beginning. Phelan felt the last of their worldly tensions simply release, a final, soft exhalation of the mind. The warmth of the water, the gentle pulse of the light, and the deep, soothing hum of the hull wood all combined into a single, perfect sensation of peace. They hovered in the water, weightless and serene, their body feeling light and their mind feeling clear. The descent was complete, and within this sunken conservatory, a new and even more gentle journey of observation and quiet contentment was waiting to unfold. Chapter 2. The Silent Greeting. Drifting through the great open archway in the ship's hull felt like passing through a veil into a world of profound and gentle wonder. Inside the Benthic Conservatory, the ocean's vast open quiet was transformed into something more intimate, a stillness that was held and nurtured by the ancient, curving ribs of the vessel. The water itself felt softer here, thick with a peaceful energy that muffled all thought, leaving only sensation. A low, resonant hum, the very heartbeat of the place, seemed to rise from the wood and filled the space, a soothing vibration that was felt deep within Phelan's chest. It was the sound of a very old and very contented peace. The source of the light was a garden of impossible beauty, everywhere growing in soft, undulating clusters upon the dark, smooth wood of the ship's interior were the luminous pulps. They were a type of coral Phelan had only read about in the most obscure of texts, living lanterns that glowed with a warm, golden light. Their collective luminescence filled the vast hold of the ship with a gentle, ambient glow, like 1,000 candles burning behind frosted glass. The light was not steady, but pulsed in a slow, hypnotic rhythm, a soft wave of brightness washing through the conservatory, followed by a gentle dimming, like a slow and steady breath. It was in the midst of this gentle, breathing light that Phelan saw another soul. Leaning against a great curved timber was a figure, moving with a slowness that matched the rhythm of the pulsing light. It was Mathis, the conservatory's quiet caretaker. They held a tool made of soft, feathery fibers and were gently tending to a cluster of the luminous pulps. Mathis looked up as Phelan approached, and their eyes, calm and deep as the sea itself, held a simple and profound kindness. There were no words spoken. Instead, Mathis offered a warm, slow nod of welcome, a silent greeting that communicated everything that needed to be said. You are welcome here. You are safe. Share in this peace. Mathis offered a simple, kind gesture, a gentle sweep of their hand that invited Phelan to come closer and observe. Together, they spent a long, peaceful while watching a particular patch of the glowing corals. As they hovered near, the soft golden light seemed to grow a little warmer, a little brighter, as if responding to their calm and focused presence. Phelan could feel the gentle warmth of the light against their exposed skin, a sensation as comforting as resting by a hearth on a cool evening. The shared silence between them was not empty but full, a comfortable and deeply restful thing, filled with a mutual, unspoken appreciation for the quiet beauty that surrounded them. Phelan began to notice the smaller details of this wondrous garden. Tiny iridescent fish, no bigger than a thumbnail, flitted between the coral branches, their scales catching the pulsing light. Delicate fern-like flora, a deep and velvety green, grew in the spaces between the coral clusters, swaying gently in the warm, slow currents that circulated through the hold. The air Phelan breathed, circulated from a small enchanted bladder, seemed to carry the scent of the place, a clean mineral fragrance mixed with that same faint sweetness of warm honey. Every sense was immersed in a tapestry of gentle and soothing sensations. Mathis gently touched Phelan's arm, their touch light and reassuring, and pointed toward the ceiling of the great hold. High above, where the ship's main deck used to be, the opening to the sea was a deep indigo window to the world above. Through it, the occasional larger sea creature would drift by, a slow-moving shadow against the dark water, a silent passing observer of the quiet world below. It gave Phelan a profound sense of being sheltered and secure, tucked away in a secret and sacred place, protected from the vastness of the ocean, yet still a part of its deep and ancient rhythm. The low, resonant hum of the hullwood was a constant, soothing presence. Phelan closed their eyes for a moment, focusing only on that deep vibration. It seemed to travel up from the soles of their feet, through their bones, a gentle internal massage that unknotted muscles they hadn't even realized were tense. The pulsing of the light, even with eyes closed, could be felt as a soft, rhythmic wave of warmth. It was a world that did not need to be seen to be experienced. It could be felt, heard, and simply absorbed into one's being. When Phelan opened their eyes again, Mathis was holding out a single, fallen petal from one of the coral blooms. It glowed with a soft, steady light in their palm, a tiny, warm star. Phelan reached out and accepted the gift, their fingers brushing Mathis's in a moment of shared, gentle understanding. The petal felt smooth and slightly warm to the touch. This silent greeting, this simple offering, was a more profound welcome than any words could have been. In the heart of the Benthic Conservatory, Phelan felt not like a visitor, but like a part of the quiet, glowing peace of the place itself. Chapter 3. Tending the Blooms of Light. The following period of time, for time seemed to move differently here, was spent in the quiet company of Mathis, learning the simple meditative act of tending to the coral blooms. There was no formal instruction, no spoken words of guidance. Instead, Mathis would simply begin a task, and Phelan, by observing the slow, deliberate grace of the caretaker's movements, would understand and follow. The work required only stillness, a quiet mind, and a gentle attention to the needs of the living light that filled this sunken world. It was a form of communication that went deeper than language, a shared purpose understood through presence and gentle action. Mathis first presented Phelan with a tool much like their own, a long, slender rod of smooth driftwood with a tip of incredibly soft, feathery fibers collected from a particular type of sea plant. The first task was to gently clear away the tiny specks of sediment that would, over time, drift down from the ocean above and settle upon the delicate structures of the luminous pulps. Mathis demonstrated the motion, a slow, patient sweep of the tool that barely grazed the coral's surface, lifting the motes of dust and allowing them to float away into the currents. The action was hypnotic in its simplicity and repetition. Phelan emulated the movement, bringing the soft fibers to a nearby cluster of the glowing coral. As the tool touched the surface, a gentle, pleasant vibration traveled up the rod and into Phelan's hand. It was the coral's happy hum, a tangible expression of its contentment. The work was slow and required a focused calm, for any hurried motion would only stir up more sediment. Phelan's breathing became even and deep, synchronized with the gentle back-and-forth sweep of the tool and the slow, rhythmic pulse of the coral's light. The world shrank to this one simple, peaceful interaction, a quiet conversation between archivist and coral. After a long, peaceful while spent clearing the luminous pulps, Mathis guided Phelan to a different part of the conservatory, where a more delicate type of coral grew. These were the chime corals, their structures branching out into small, perfect bell-shaped blossoms. They did not glow with their own light, but their semi-translucent bodies caught and refracted the golden light of the other corals, making them shimmer with a soft, internal fire. Mathis gestured for Phelan to simply be still and listen with a sense different from hearing. As a warm current drifted through the garden, it passed through the tiny bells, producing a barely there melodic resonance, a series of soft, harmonious tones that felt like a sigh of pure peace. The task here was even more delicate. It involved using a single soft fiber to clear any tiny organisms that might cloud the bell-shaped blossoms and mute their gentle sound. Phelan worked with immense care, their focus absolute. To hear the soft chime become a little clearer after their tending was a quiet and deeply satisfying reward. This focused, simple work allowed Phelan's mind to grow completely quiet, wholly present in the moment. All thoughts of the world above, of past and future, dissolved into the gentle, glowing, humming, chiming present of the conservatory. There was a profound sense of purpose in this gentle labor. It was not work born of necessity or obligation, but an act of simple, loving care. Phelan was not just a visitor or an observer anymore, but a participant in the life of this secret garden, a temporary guardian of its light and its sound. This feeling of gentle responsibility was grounding, a quiet anchor in the deep. To contribute to such beauty, even in this small, simple way, filled Phelan with a quiet and lasting joy that needed no expression. It was a feeling to be held and cherished within. The warm currents that circulated through the conservatory seemed to aid in their work, carrying away the debris they cleared and bringing a constant sense of gentle, supportive energy. Phelan could feel the soft water flowing around them, a constant caressing presence. Sometimes, a tiny curious fish would swim up to observe their work, its fins a silent whir in the water, before darting away into the glowing fronds. Every element of this place existed in a state of perfect peaceful harmony, and Phelan felt themselves becoming a part of that harmony. As the period of gentle work drew to a close, Mathis led Phelan to the center of the conservatory's main hold. They both simply floated there for a time, observing the results of their shared, quiet efforts. The luminous pulps seemed to glow a little more brightly, their pulses a little more serene. The soft melodic hum of the chime corals seemed a touch clearer on the warm currents. A deep sense of contentment settled over Phelan, a peace earned not through struggle, but through gentle, mindful participation in the beauty of the world around them. Chapter 4. The Currents of Contentment. With the gentle tasks of the day completed, a new phase of being began, one of simple, quiet immersion. Mathis gave a soft parting nod and drifted away to a quiet alcove to rest, leaving Phelan with the silent, glowing garden as their sole companion. Phelan found a place in the very heart of the conservatory and, with a soft exhalation, simply let go, allowing their body to be held in the perfect, neutral buoyancy of the warm water. Here, in the center of the great sunken hold, the gentle currents of contentment found them, wrapping Phelan in an embrace of profound and effortless peace. The currents were a magical thing, a slow and endlessly circulating river of warmth that flowed through the ship's ancient frame. Phelan drifted within them, feeling the water's gentle support as an active, comforting presence. It was like being rocked in a cradle of immense and gentle proportion. They closed their eyes, letting the sensation of movement become the whole of their world. The current would carry them in a slow, lazy arc towards one side of the hold, where the hum of the hullwood was a little deeper, and then gently circle them back towards the other side, where the chiming of the corals was a little clearer. It was a slow, hypnotic dance with the soul of the place. Phelan watched the soft-bodied sea creatures that had made the conservatory their home. Small, gelatinous beings, like living jewels, drifted by, pulsing with their own faint inner light. A school of tiny, silver-sided fish moved as one being, a shimmering, liquid cloud that swirled and eddied through the branches of coral without ever touching them. Their movements were slow, unhurried, and completely hypnotic. Watching them, Phelan felt their own internal rhythms begin to slow, their heartbeat finding the languid tempo of the deep. There was no striving here, no struggle, only the simple, graceful act of being. Thoughts, when they arose, were like motes of dust in the water. They would drift into Phelan's awareness, glitter for a moment in the golden light of the corals, and then drift away again, carried off by the gentle currents. There was no need to hold on to them, no need to examine them. They were simply a part of the gentle scenery of the mind, as transient and as beautiful as the tiny creatures swimming by. A profound sense of acceptance settled deep within Phelan, an understanding that all that was needed was to be present, to float, to observe. The weight of the world above, with its lists and its clocks, was a forgotten memory, a language from another life. The sensory tapestry of the conservatory was a constant, gentle balm. The deep, resonant hum of the ancient wood was a steady, grounding vibration, a bass note of pure tranquility. The slow, rhythmic pulse of the luminous pulps was a visual heartbeat, a silent metronome for a world without time. The occasional ethereal sigh of the chime corals was a sweet melodic whisper that promised that all was well. The warmth of the water was a constant, secure embrace. Phelan breathed it all in, not with their lungs, but with their entire being, absorbing the peace of the place through every pore. After a while, Phelan found a resting place in a great smooth curve of the ship's hull that had been worn into the shape of a reclined seat. Here, nestled amongst a patch of soft, deep green sea flora that felt like velvet against the skin, they could look out over the entire glowing garden. It was a vista of such profound and gentle beauty that it filled the heart to overflowing. The interplay of light and shadow, the gentle movement of the water, the silent, purposeful life of the corals. It was a perfect and complete world, utterly at peace with itself. It was in this deep state of restful observation that Phelan experienced a moment of pure connection. A small, curious creature with wide, dark eyes and gently waving fins swam right up to them, hovering just inches from their face. It regarded Phelan with a simple, unworried curiosity, and Phelan looked back with the same gentle stillness. There was no fear, no sense of otherness. In that moment, they were two quiet souls sharing a moment of peace in a secret garden at the bottom of the sea. The creature blinked its wide eyes slowly, then with a soft flick of its tail, drifted away. The experience left Phelan with a feeling of deep and abiding contentment. Here, in the quiet currents, they were not an outsider looking in, but an integral part of the tranquil whole. The sense of separation between self and world had dissolved, replaced by a feeling of belonging that was as profound as it was peaceful. The gentle, buoyant peace of the deep had become their own, a quiet hum in their very center, a warm light behind their eyes. Chapter 5. A Peace Carried to the surface. The return to the world above was not an ending, but a gentle transition, a carrying of the deep's quietude into the realm of air and light. Phelan knew, with a certainty that was as calm and deep as the sea itself, that it was time to ascend. The feeling was not one of reluctance or sadness, but of a quiet and perfect completeness. The conservatory had offered its gift of profound restoration, and Phelan felt imbued with an abiding calm that now felt like a part of their very being, ready to be carried with them. Mathis appeared from their resting place, moving through the glowing garden with that same familiar, unhurried grace. They met Phelan in the center of the hold, and for a long moment, they simply hovered together in the warm, humming silence, a shared, unspoken farewell that was full of gratitude. There was no need for promises to return or for grand goodbyes. The connection forged in this quiet place was a timeless one, a gentle understanding that would always exist, whether near or far. With a final kind gesture, Mathis reached into a soft pouch at their side and retrieved a parting gift. It was a single, perfectly formed petal from one of the chime corals. In Mathis's palm, it held a faint, warm glow and seemed to emanate a whisper of the conservatory's resonant hum, a tiny captured piece of the garden's soul. Phelan accepted it with gentle hands, the smooth, cool surface of the petal warming immediately to their touch. They secured the small treasure in a pocket, a tangible reminder of the peace they had found. With a last slow look around at the pulsing, golden light, the swaying green flora, and the deep, comforting shadows of the hullwood, Phelan turned towards the archway. As they drifted through the breach in the hull, leaving the conservatory behind, the warm currents seemed to give them a final, gentle push, a soft blessing for their journey. The peaceful, rhythmic pulse of the luminous pulps and the gentle hum of the corals did not fade away entirely, but remained with them, a soft echo in their heart and mind, a melody to carry into the world. The ascent was the reverse of the journey down, a slow, peaceful floating upwards through the deepening blues. The cool indigo of the deep gradually gave way to the softer cobalt of the middle depths, and then to the brighter cerulean of the shallows. The water's gentle pressure lessened with each foot of the rise, and Phelan felt not a loss of comfort, but a new sense of lightness, as if the peace within them was a buoyant and lifting force. The world was being reborn in gentle gradients of blue. Soon, the first shimmering beams of surface light began to pierce the water from above, long dancing shafts of silver and gold. They were no longer distant and ethereal, but clear and present, a welcoming call from the world Phelan was returning to. The feeling of the sun's warmth, even filtered through the water, was a gentle and pleasant touch on the skin, a familiar and happy sensation. Phelan looked down one last time into the deep blue, sending a silent wave of thanks to the quiet world below. They surfaced with a soft sigh, breaking the water's skin as gently as a rising bubble. The world that greeted them was one of profound and gentle beauty. The sun had set, and the sky was a canvas of the softest lavender and dusky rose, the colors of a gentle twilight. The air was cool and clean, and it felt wonderful to breathe it in deeply, filling their lungs with the fresh, salty scent of the evening sea. The water around them was calm, its surface like dark, polished glass, reflecting the soft colors of the sky. Phelan floated on their back for a time, looking up at the first stars beginning to appear in the darkening heavens. The quiet of the surface world felt different now, not an absence of sound, but a space filled with its own gentle music, the soft lapping of the water against their body, the distant cry of a homeward-bound seabird. The profound quiet of the deep had tuned their senses to the subtle, peaceful melodies of the world. They reached into their pocket, and their fingers found the smooth, cool petal. It pulsed with a faint, warm light, a tiny secret star held in their hand, a promise that the peace of the Benthic Conservatory was theirs to keep.